Hey, people. Mr. Lucky Muffin says, you say you're the Antichrist or an Antichrist. Care to explain it? Well, I sure would. And we find the Antichrist twice here in this 1 John 2:18. It's spelled two different ways. Here's the toast, the ability, and here's the toy. So they have twisted the meaning of all the words. And I showed in that last movie, here in this conjugation of the Greek verb, written by the Reverend J.G.T. Arks in 1833. He put in this note that through the Macedonian conquest in Asia, some nations who had formerly spoken Oriental languages had become acquainted with the Greek tongue. Induced to write in Greek while they continued to think in their native tongues, they created a Greek dialect with Hebrew, Syriac, Chaldaic turns of expression and many peculiarities, which proceeded partly from the Macedonian mode of speech. In this dialect, which we find the Septuagint, that's the Old Testament Greek Bible, and the New Testament. This means that it wasn't the Greeks writing this. It was the Hebrew, the Syriac, the Chaldaic, the Asians that were writing this. They wrote this in rebellion of the Chiro that was trying to control the world. And so if you let me break down these words right here real quick, you'll understand it better. First, the way the Chiro looks at your little children as a payday, Paydia. That's payday. You can see it here, day, D-I-A. You can see it in the Latin, the D-I-E-S, the day. They changed it in the Italian because that's Rome. They didn't want you to know that they look at your little children as a payday. This word here, the satch, this is where your word satchel come from. It means the money bag, the satchel. The satchel coming from the old French satchel, meaning the sacrum, the money bag. Their payday is to collect the little children. In the hour is it in? The payday, the satchel, the hour is it in? To cathos. Cathos, that's a derogatory short term for the Catholics, for the Chiro. Accuse it. You have heard is the accusate. The cathos accusate. It's their accusations. At make, A-T-O-T-I, at make. The Antichristos. And so this is the ability. And the anti is against the Chiroist. I-S-T. Against the Chiroist. Against the Chiroist. And this is the establishment. And you can see your word here, the antics. Rise to. The antics rise to. The antics is foolish or outrageous or amusing behavior. And so the people who are writing this are the establishment. And that's why antics are foolish and outrageous and amusing behavior. And on the payday of the satch, of the money bag, the hour is it in, to the cathos accuse it at make the anti-chiroist. The ability of the antics to rise. The antics rise to. The rich it to make. And none of the antics to rise to make. Pole how G gonna sin. This isn't many. Many has one L. Poly. This is the pole, means to count how. And so rich, it doesn't mean like a bunch of stuff. Rich, we used to have carburetors, and if you had more fuel than oxygen, you were running rich. And you get more horsepower by leaning it out and turning the fuel down, so you had a better mixture of oxygen, or turning the oxygen up, And so In the payday of the Satch hour is it in. To Cathos accuse it at make the antics rise to's. The rich it to make, to none of the Antichrist to, the antics rise to, poll how G gonna sin. They're not taking time to count how the G gonna sin. So the G gonna sin, G means to lift. G to the foot, to lift the gonna sin. And gonna sin means down on your knees. Gonna sin. Having seen now Simon Peter fell at the knees because he was gonna sin. And none of the Antichrist are taking time to count. They're just doing the work. They're not taking the time to count how to lift the gonna sin. Oh, then the genius come in, and we know. And then the genius come in at make the sachet hour is it in. And so this is something that I say all the time. You got every morning the highway's full of cars. I live right here on the highway. I listen to it all day. And most of those people, they're going to a job that really doesn't need to be there. If we get rid of the money, all those people that their job is counting money, well, they can go home and plant a garden, If we didn't have any money, it doesn't mean that there's going to be less food on the earth. It just means the people who are controlling things are going to have less control because they control with the money. And so, and none of the Antichrist to count how, the poll how to lift the gun of sin, to just everybody just go and do the job and don't worry about counting how much money you can make, And then the genius come in at make the satch it hour is it in. We're going to all get paid when everybody quits worrying about counting the money and just starts taking care of the earth. That's when we all going to have the sachet. It's going to be a payoff. The payday of the sachet hour is it in. And the Cathos accuse it at make the antics of the rise to, the Antichrist to. And so I don't know if I'm the only one. I'm one, and I'm not worried about counting how many there are. I'm just doing the job. I'm not worried about counting dollars. I'm just doing the job. And if everybody starts doing the job, the pay will come. And the rich it too, the rich it too, and is more fuel than oxygen, more than needed. The rich it too, the more than you need. And none of the antics rise to are polling how. They're not counting how to lift the gun of sin, just doing the job. And then the genius come in. Boom, then the light comes on and make the sachet hour is it in. So I don't give up my love much, but it makes it worth more when you get it. And I love that you asked that question. And I'm going to go ahead and pin it on the top so everybody can see it. And I'm going to go ahead and add the link to this movie so everybody can catch this movie. So I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.